John King, USA, CNN, weeknights at 7 Eastern.
What goes through your mind when you hear this dramatic increase, the breaking news tonight, that they have more than doubled the estimate of the amount of oil coming out and gushing into the Gulf of Mexico? 20,000 to 40,000. That's 1.7 million gallons per day. Previously, it was in the 12,000 to 19,000 range. How much bigger of an impact are we talking about now that we have that estimate?
Well, I think there's going to be two things. First of all, there's going to be a lot more oil on the surface, but the other subtle thing, there's going to be a lot more oil between the seafloor and the surface. And this oil is very hard to find. Nobody's really sure what effect it's going to have on the environment, but intuitively, it sounds bad. I have to say, when that professor from the from Purdue calculated 70,000, it seemed to me he was really working much closer to the right answer than 19,000. So I'm not surprised to find it come out about 40, halfway between 20 and 70. It's not surprising to me at all.
And so it only adds urgency to the question, why can't they fully cap this thing? They've contained some of the oil, but still a great deal coming out. We don't even know if we can trust those numbers. Among the suggestions that come in is, why can't you just pour cement down there and plug this thing? Help us.
Well, I've gotten about 1,000 emails on my website. I'm sure you've gotten probably 30,000. So let me just show you the problem. If indeed coming out of the riser or the preventer, the top of the oil well, if it's really almost 7,000 psi, and you're going to put a piece of concrete on it, this from the streets of Washington, D.C., at first it seems pretty heavy. But when you drop it on top, even concrete is buoyant. So you would need about 2,500 tons of concrete. And you might be able to do that if you had a lot of it. But even then, when you pile it all on top, it's displacing water. And when you displace water, it holds the concrete up. So you need about the weight of 50 commercial airliners on top of this thing. And by the way, it's blowing oil the whole time. It will literally push the concrete or whatever it is out of the way. And if it does, you're right back where you started, with the thing gushing and leaking, and you haven't achieved anything. And now you have a big block of concrete between you and the problem.
And Bill, help us understand, because as you make that demonstration, I've talked to several engineers down here involved in the industry who are not involved in this effort, but they know the industry very well. To the point you just made, they say the reason they abandoned Top Kill is when they were trying to put that cap on top of it, then the pressure got so high that not only were they worried that the top would blow off, but just beneath that BOP, in the wellhead, they think the pressure was building up under the surface. Yeah, so, the blowout preventer. They thought the pressure was building up below the surface, and they could have had a bigger catastrophe.
Yes, exactly. So whatever the blowout, I'll use my hands. Here's the pipe running down into the Earth's crust. Whatever you put on top is somehow attached to that pipe. Well, if you seal what's on top of that, it could lift the whole thing up. In other words, you start pulling well casing out of the seafloor, and then you've got no control over it. You get seeps coming out along the seafloor like rain leaking through a canvas tarp.
And so, Bill, at this point, as you watch this come out, when BP says they have a backup plan, they're bringing in another container ship to take the oil away, are they doing the right things, or are they doing just what is necessary, not what would be better?
Boy, I'm not sure. The whole thing here is you got to do everything all at once. Now, I just try to give you a perception of this. I think at first, the satellite data indicated that there were about 5,000 barrels a day leaking. But there was all this oil that was missing that became neutrally buoyant or didn't sink or float between the sea surface and the seafloor. So the flow was actually much higher, and the pressure was much higher than was originally estimated. And so when they put that containment dome on it, that White House thing, that weighed about 100 tons. Well, you need about 25 times that much just to contain the pressure, let alone all the plumbing problems, the bolts and nuts and the sensors and side vents. So the real answer, and you've heard people say this 100 times, is this business of a relief well where you drill in down below where all your plumbing problems are and start the well over again, this time under control. And this will be the problem with the moratorium. Nobody is sure, I don't think, how many other blowout preventers have the same maintenance problems and could lead to the same sort of disaster. So instead of having one gushing, you'd have 2 or 3. It could really be serious, serious problem. This is why people in my side of things would really like us to pursue renewable energy. This is a dangerous business down there.
Bill Nye, the science guy, we appreciate your insights. And to Bill's point about those relief wells, still the middle of August. They say the middle of August. If there's 2 of them being drilled, the first one should be ready in the middle of August. We'll continue to watch that.